It is now Veganuary. During Veganuary, also known as the month of January, many people take up the challenge to refrain from eating animals. Some people do this for ethical reasons, some people do this for health reasons. However, I thought it would be a good opportunity to discuss the Buddhist teaching on consuming animals, and also to answer the question on everyone's mind, what about the plants? Because from an ethical standpoint, if we're not eating animals, cows, chickens, pigs, etc., then that means we're eating more plants, more fruits, more vegetables. We're killing more cucumbers, more squash, more pears, etc. So why is it bad to eat animals, but it's okay to eat plants from the Buddhist perspective? And to answer that question, we first need to understand that in the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, that is, the greater vehicle, we are encouraged, though not required, to refrain from eating animals. So generally speaking, we understand that if we eat a meal in a Buddhist temple, it will be plant-based. However, what people do in their own lives is their own business. No one's going through your refrigerator, though again, we are encouraged to be plant-based. And there are two reasons for that, primarily gratitude and compassion. Now, on the gratitude piece, we have to go back to the teaching of reincarnation. As Buddhists, we understand that before this life, we have lived an infinite number of other lives. During that time, the animals that we might choose to eat today were our parents, our friends, our coworkers, our siblings, in past lives, and in that time they showed us endless love, mercy, and compassion. So out of gratitude for the love and mercy they showed us in previous lives, we choose to not eat animals in this one. In addition to that, if we understand reincarnation, we understand that in future lives, it might be us on the dinner plate. If we don't play our cards right, we might be the cow heading into the slaughterhouse, the chicken on the back of the truck heading to the plant. And because we hope that no one will eat us in future lives, out of gratitude for those plant-based individuals, we choose to not eat animals in this one. In addition to that, in the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, we do not eat animals out of compassion. That is, we understand that they are sentient beings, that they have minds and nervous systems, that they are unable to experience pain and suffering. And the Buddha, 2,600 years ago, sat under the Bodhi tree vowing that he would not move from that spot until he found a way to end all sorrow, to end all suffering for sentient beings. So as Buddhists, our telos, our purpose for being, in fact, is to find ways to end suffering, both for ourselves and for others. So in one small way, we can end suffering for our animal friends by choosing to not eat them. Now, of course, this begs the question, if we're not going to eat the animals, why is it okay for us to eat plants? And to understand that, we have to go back to the teaching of reincarnation. So we, of course, are sentient beings, and based on our karma, when we die, we can be reborn into one of 6 realms. We might be reborn in the hell realms, the hungry ghost realms, the animal realms, the human realm, which we're in now, the demigod realm, or the god realm. Now, you'll notice there's no plant realm on that list, because you can be reborn as a demon, you can be reborn as a hungry ghost, you can be reborn as a god, but you can't be reborn as a tree. Plants, according to Buddhism, are not sentient. And because they lack sentience, they are unable to suffer. So there's no negative karma associated with the consumption of plants. And this, frankly, is borne out by science. In order to feel pain, we must have a brain and a nervous system. Plants lack both of these, so that we can eat them without any feeling of guilt or fear that we are causing suffering. Now, I know that begs the question, what about the many animals and insects that are killed during the growing and harvesting of the plants that we consume? And it is an unfortunate part of life that we cannot eat without killing something. And yes, that includes the insects and the animals that are killed during plant agriculture. However, a little research shows us that most of the plants that are grown today are fed to animals, which are then eaten by human beings. I could be wrong about this, but I think something like 80% of the soy that's grown in the world is fed to cows. And a lot of animals and insects are killed in the growing of those plants. So, what we do is we eat the plants directly as Buddhists so that we don't have the additional level of death and suffering that comes with eating the animals that ate the plants. In other words, unfortunately, insects and animals are going to be killed during plant agriculture no matter what. But we can avoid that second level of suffering by eating the plants and not feeding the plants to animals so that we can eat the animals. So, simply put, we do not eat animals in the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, at least we try not to, out of gratitude for the compassion they showed us in previous lives, and also so that we can show animals compassion in this life. Plants are not considered sentient beings. We know this because upon our death, there is no plant realm that our consciousness can be reborn into. So there are no plants that were our parents or our grandparents or our coworkers in previous lives. And finally, while we do accept that there are insects and animals that are killed during plant agriculture, we can minimize the amount of suffering by eating plants directly as opposed to eating animals that the plants were fed to. I hope this helps. Amitabha.